resting protectively on her 6-month pregnant belly. The baby had been active all day, little feet pressing against her ribs as if sensing her mother's unease. The nausea had finally passed, but a different kind of sickness was about to take its place. She heard Dominic's voice drifting from his home office, the door slightly ajar. She smiled, thinking she'd surprise him, maybe convince him to come to dinner early for once. But as she approached, his words stopped her cold. "I'm counting down the days, baby. Just 4 more months of this charade." His laugh was cruel, nothing like the man she'd married 5 years ago. "You should see her waddling around the house. She's exhausted all the time, complaining about her back, her feet. It's pathetic." Naomi's breath caught in her throat. She pressed herself against the hallway wall, her heart hammering so hard she feared he might hear it. "I know, Veronica, I know." Pause. "The moment she has this baby and recovers, I'm filing. My lawyer says with the prenup, she'll get minimal support. She'll have to move back with her mother probably." Naomi felt bile rise in her throat. She knew that voice on the other end. Veronica Hayes, the vice president of marketing at Dominic's tech company. The woman who'd been at their house for dinner parties. The woman who'd touched Naomi's belly at the company holiday party just 2 months ago, cooing about how exciting the baby must be. "Of course I don't love her anymore," Dominic continued, his voice dropping to something almost tender, a tone he hadn't used with Naomi in months. "How could I when I have you? You're everything she's not. Ambitious, exciting, sophisticated. She's just comfortable. Say, boring." The baby kicked hard as if protesting on Naomi's behalf. She bit her lip to keep from gasping. "The Monaco trip is all set for next month. Tell the office it's a business conference. We'll have 10 days together, just us. I've already booked the yacht." He laughed again. "Naomi thinks I'm meeting with international investors. She doesn't understand anything about business anyway. She's content playing housewife." Naomi's hands trembled. Housewife. The word echoed in her mind. She'd given up her own career in financial analysis when Dominic's company started demanding more of his time. He'd convinced her they needed her to manage their home life, to be ready to support him. She believed she was being a partner. "I love you too," Dominic said softly. "Just a few more months. Then we can finally be together properly. You'll move into the penthouse. We'll be the power couple the city deserves." Naomi backed away silently, her designer flats making no sound on the marble floors. She made it to the guest bathroom before her legs gave out. She sat on the edge of the bathtub trying to process what she'd just heard. 1 year. They'd been having an affair for over a year. All those late nights at the office. All those business trips. The way he'd grown distant when she told him about the pregnancy, his enthusiasm forced and hollow. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her face was rounder from the pregnancy, her natural hair pulled back in a simple bun. She was wearing comfortable clothes, nothing like the designer outfits she used to wear. When had she stopped seeing herself as beautiful? When had she started believing she was just boring? Her phone buzzed. A text from her sister Imani. "How was the checkup? Baby girl still doing good?" Baby girl. She was having a daughter. Naomi's hand went to her belly again. She'd been so excited to tell Dominic today that they'd confirmed the gender. She'd even bought a little pink outfit, imagining his face when she showed him. Now that image turned to ash. Another voice drifted from Dominic's office. He was still on the video call with Veronica, and Naomi could hear the woman's laugh, high and sharp. "I can't wait to redecorate that penthouse. Her taste is so suburban. All those family photos everywhere. We'll make it modern, sleek." Something hardened in Naomi's chest. Not heartbreak, that would come later. This was something colder, sharper, more dangerous. She pulled out her phone and opened her notes app. She began typing everything she'd heard, timestamps, exact quotes as best she could remember. Then she did something she hadn't done in 5 years. She called Harold Bennett. Harold had been her grandfather's attorney, the man who'd managed Granddad's estate after his death 3 years ago. There'd been trusts, investments, things Naomi hadn't paid much attention to because she'd been so focused on supporting Dominic's dreams. Harold had tried to schedule meetings with her multiple times, but she'd always been too busy with Dominic's life to focus on the complicated legal matters. "Naomi," Harold's warm voice answered. "What a pleasant surprise. Is everything all right?" "No," she said quietly, her voice steady despite the tears starting to fall. "Nothing is all right. Harold, I need you to explain something to me. When Granddad died, you mentioned a trust. Something about shares and voting rights. I need to understand exactly what I own." There was a pause. "Are you somewhere private where we can talk?" Yes. Naomi, Harold said carefully, you own controlling interest in something very significant. I've been trying to discuss this with you for 3 years. Perhaps it's time we had that conversation. Tomorrow, she said. Your office. 9 a.m. I'll clear my schedule. Naomi hung up and stared at her reflection again. The woman looking back at her wasn't boring. Wasn't just a housewife. Wasn't pathetic. She was the granddaughter of Walter Price, one of the most brilliant venture capitalists in the country. A man who'd taught her to read financial statements before she could ride a bike. A man who'd told her just before he died, everything I built is yours, baby girl. Don't ever let anyone make you forget your worth. Naomi stood, smoothing down her shirt over her belly. She washed her face, fixed her hair, and walked back into the hallway. Dominic's office door was still open. She could see him now, leaning back in his leather chair, feet up on the desk she'd bought him for their anniversary. He didn't see her. He was too busy laughing with Veronica, planning their future in Naomi's home. She turned and walked to the master bedroom. Tomorrow she would learn exactly what power she held. Tonight she would plan. The baby kicked again, stronger this time. Don't worry, little one, Naomi whispered. Mama's going to make sure you grow up knowing your worth. And watching what happens to people who underestimate the women in our family. Harold Bennett's office overlooked the financial district, floor-to-ceiling windows offering a view of the city Naomi had called home her entire life. She'd been in this office exactly twice before. Once for her grandfather's will reading, once for a follow-up she'd barely paid attention to, her mind elsewhere as she'd signed papers Harold had marked with colored tabs. Now, sitting across from him at 65, with his silver hair and kind eyes, she paid attention to every word. Your grandfather was very specific in his instructions, Harold said, sliding a thick folder across his mahogany desk. He wanted you to have time to settle into your marriage before fully understanding the extent of what he left you. He worried that knowledge might complicate your relationship. Naomi let out a bitter laugh. He was protecting me. He was. Walter knew that money and power change how people see you. He wanted you to know Dominic loved you for you, not for your assets. Well, we both got our answer on that, didn't we? Harold's expression softened with sympathy. I'm sorry, Naomi. Truly. But perhaps it's fortunate that you're discovering this now when you need it most. He opened the folder. Inside were documents, stock certificates, legal papers that made Naomi's financial analysis background kick into high gear. She began reading, her eyes widening with each page. Granddad owned 52% of Apex Technologies? Through a series of trusts and holding companies, yes. The Price Family Trust to be specific. And as of his death, you became the sole beneficiary and trustee. Harold pointed to a highlighted section. Apex Technologies was a startup when your grandfather invested. $25 million for majority ownership. The company was worth nothing then. Naomi's hands trembled as she held the papers. It's worth $8 billion now. $8.3 billion as of this morning's opening bell. Your controlling shares are worth approximately $4.3 billion. Harold let that sink in. Dominic has always believed the majority shareholder was an anonymous investment group. The trust documents were structured to protect your grandfather's privacy, and then yours. The quarterly dividends have been going into a separate account that we manage. You've been receiving statements. She had been. She'd filed them away, assuming they were modest returns on her grandfather's old investments. She'd never looked closely at the numbers. Why would she? Dominic handled their finances. Dominic made the money. Dominic was the billionaire. Except he wasn't. The company Dominic claims he built from nothing, Naomi said slowly, pieces clicking into place, was built with my family's money. Your grandfather saw potential in Dominic's ideas, Harold explained. But he never trusted him. That's why the investment was structured through trusts. He made Dominic sign agreements that if the company succeeded, the majority ownership would remain with the Price family in perpetuity. Dominic signed because he needed the money and he thought the odds of success were low. He's been operating as CEO of a company I own. Technically, yes. And as majority shareholder, you have certain rights. Harold pulled out another document. You can call emergency shareholder meetings. You can vote to remove board members, including the CEO. You can restructure the entire company if you choose. Naomi sat back in her chair, her hand instinctively going to her belly. The baby was calm now, as if sensing this was important. Dominic has been stealing from me, she said quietly. I heard him on the phone. He's been moving assets offshore. He thinks they're his assets to move. Harold's expression darkened. If he's been transferring company assets without board approval, that's a serious breach of fiduciary duty. If he's been transferring marital assets without your knowledge, that's financial abuse. I want to stop him. I want to protect my daughter. She met Harold's eyes. And I want him to understand exactly what he's lost. Then we need to move quickly and carefully. Harold pulled out a legal pad. First, we document everything. Every conversation, every transaction. Second, we bring in specialists, a divorce attorney, a private investigator, a forensic accountant. Third, we prepare for the shareholder meeting. How long will this take? If we're thorough? 4 to 6 weeks. We need evidence that will stand up in court and in the boardroom. Can you maintain appearances at home that long? Naomi thought about it. She thought about Dominic's smug face, his plans with Veronica, his assumption that she was too stupid and too trapped to fight back. I can do better than that, she said. I can make him think he's already won. Over the next hour, Harold introduced her to the team he'd already begun assembling. Diane Fletcher, a divorce attorney with a reputation for destroying cheating spouses in court. Robert Chin, no relation to anyone Naomi knew, a private investigator who specialized in corporate espionage. And Patricia Williams, again no relation, a forensic accountant who could trace money through the most complicated offshore schemes. Your grandfather set aside funds specifically for legal matters, Harold explained. More than enough to cover everything we'll need. Diane Fletcher was a tall black woman in her 50s, with gray-streaked locks and sharp eyes. I've looked at your prenuptial agreement, she said, pulling out a copy. Dominic's attorney was smart, but not smart enough. This agreement protects separate property acquired before and during the marriage. Your trust shares are separate property. The dividends deposited in your separate account are separate property. The prenup he thinks will protect his assets actually protects yours. He doesn't know that. No. And we won't tell him until the optimal moment. Diane smiled, and it wasn't kind. Men like Dominic make assumptions. They assume the lawyers they hire are smarter than any lawyer their wives could afford. They assume they understand money better. They assume women are too emotional to play the long game. I'm not too emotional, Naomi said quietly. No, Diane agreed. You're angry. Angry is good. Angry is focused. We can work with angry. Robert, the private investigator, pulled out a tablet. I need you to tell me everything. His schedule, his habits, passwords you might know, anywhere he keeps records. I need to know about Veronica too. How long they've been together, where they meet, everything. Naomi spent 2 hours downloading everything she knew. Dominic's routines, his arrogance about security. He used the same password for everything, a combination of his birthday and their anniversary, as if she wouldn't notice the irony. His favorite restaurants, his travel patterns, his assumption that she never looked at credit card statements. He's planning a trip to Monaco next month, she told them. With Veronica. He told her it would be 10 days. Perfect, Robert said. Men get careless when they think they're untouchable. We'll have everything we need by the time he gets on that plane. Patricia, the forensic accountant, was already pulling up financial records. I'll need access to your joint accounts, credit cards, any shared investments. Also, I'll need you to request copies of your own credit report. Sometimes cheating spouses open cards in their partner's names. He wouldn't. They always do, Patricia said grimly. Check. By the time Naomi left Harold's office, she had a plan, a team, and something she hadn't felt in months. Power. She stopped in the building's bathroom and looked at herself in the mirror. She'd worn one of her old work outfits today, a navy dress that accommodated her belly, professional heels, her hair styled. She looked like the woman she used to be. The woman she was going to become again. Her phone buzzed. Dominic, working late again. Don't wait up. She typed back, okay. Love you. She stared at those 2 words. The last time she'd lie to him. The last time she'd pretend. Tomorrow she'd go home and be the perfect, clueless wife. She'd smile when he came home smelling like Veronica's perfume. She'd pretend to believe his excuses. She'd let him think she was too tired and too pregnant to notice his betrayal. And while he was busy underestimating her, she'd be building the case that would destroy him. Her daughter kicked, strong and insistent. That's right, baby girl, Naomi whispered. We're fighters. Just like great-granddad taught us. She walked out of the bathroom, out of the building, into the cool afternoon air. Somewhere across town, Dominic was probably with Veronica, laughing about his boring, pregnant wife. Let him laugh. In 4 weeks, she'd show him exactly what boring looked like when it owned everything he'd ever wanted. 3 weeks. That's how long Naomi maintained the perfect performance of the oblivious wife. and every day felt like wearing a mask that grew heavier. But she wore it well. She smiled when Dominic came home late, accepted his lies about investor meetings and board presentations. She cooked his favorite meals even though the smell made her morning sickness return. She listened to him talk about his company's success, nodding in all the right places, asking simple questions that made him feel superior. "You wouldn't understand the technical aspects, sweetheart," he'd say patronizingly. "Just trust that daddy's making good money for our baby girl." Our baby girl. The words made her skin crawl now, but she kept smiling. What Dominic didn't know was that every conversation was recorded. Diane had provided Naomi with a sophisticated recording device disguised as a fitness tracker. Every room in their penthouse was now capturing audio, legally since it was Naomi's home too and she was party to the conversations. The recordings were damning. "Veronica wants to redecorate the nursery once Naomi's gone," Dominic told his brother Carter during a lunch Naomi accidentally walked in on. "Says the colors are too soft. Wants something more modern." "You're really going through with the divorce?" Carter had asked. "The moment the baby's born and Naomi's recovered enough that I won't look like a complete monster. 6 months, maybe 8. Then I'm free." Dominic had laughed. "The prenup's airtight. She'll get minimal spousal support, no claim to the company. She can move back with her mom, raise the kid. I'll see them on weekends." Naomi had stood in the hallway, hand over her mouth, recording every word. Robert's investigation had uncovered even more. Veronica and Dominic had been together for 18 months, since before Naomi got pregnant. They'd taken 4 business trips together, charged to the company. Veronica had received an apartment lease paid by Apex Technologies as a relocation package, even though she already lived in the city. They'd been careful but not careful enough. The private investigator had photos now. Dominic and Veronica at restaurants holding hands, entering hotel rooms together. A particularly damning video of them at a company retreat, Dominic's hand on Veronica's lower back in a way that left no room for professional interpretation. But it was Patricia's findings that made Naomi's blood run cold. "He's been moving money for 6 months, the forensic accountant explained during one of their secret meetings at Harold's office. "Small amounts at first, then larger transfers. There's an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. Another in Switzerland. He's moved approximately $12 million from your joint investment accounts." $12 million? Naomi felt dizzy. "He's been using a fake company as a pass-through, making it look like legitimate business investments. By the time he files for divorce, the money will be hidden. His lawyers will claim the accounts he shows you are all that exists. Can we get it back?" "We can do better than that," Patricia said with a cold smile. "We can prove fraud, financial abuse. And since it's marital property he's hiding, we can make sure he faces criminal charges if he doesn't return every penny." Diane added notes to her growing file. "This strengthens our case considerably. He's not just cheating, he's stealing. From you and your child." The team met twice a week, always when Dominic thought Naomi was at prenatal yoga or doctor's appointments. They built timelines, gathered evidence, prepared documents. Harold coordinated with the board of directors at Apex Technologies, carefully revealing Naomi's identity to key members, swearing them to secrecy. "The board is furious," Harold reported. "They had no idea about Dominic's affair with a subordinate employee. That's a clear violation of company ethics policies. And the financial irregularities we're uncovering show he's been using company resources for personal matters." "How many board members do we have on our side?" 7 out of 9. The 2 who might resist are both his fraternity brothers. They'll fall in line once they see the evidence. No one wants to go down with him. At home, Naomi played her role. She decorated the nursery in soft pinks and whites. She attended baby showers thrown by women who worked at Dominic's company, including Veronica, who brought an expensive designer diaper bag and cooed over Naomi's belly with practiced fake sympathy. "You must be so tired," Veronica had said, her hand resting on Naomi's shoulder in a gesture that looked supportive but felt possessive. "Growing a human is hard work." "It is," Naomi agreed sweetly. "But worth it. Dominic and I are so excited to be a family." She'd watched Veronica's smile tighten just slightly. Good. Let her think she'd won. Let them both think they were so clever. That evening, Robert had shown Naomi photos from earlier that same day. Dominic and Veronica meeting at a hotel during lunch. Veronica wearing the same outfit she'd worn to the baby shower that afternoon. The timestamp proved she'd gone straight from Naomi's shower to a hotel room with Naomi's husband. "I want you to see something else," Robert said, his voice gentle. He pulled up financial records. Dominic's been paying for Veronica's car lease, her gym membership, her credit cards, all through fake consulting contracts with Apex Technologies. He's been embezzling to support her lifestyle. Naomi stared at the numbers. How much? In the last 18 months? Approximately $200,000 in traceable expenses. $200,000. While Naomi had been cutting back on personal spending, trying to be responsible with money she thought was tightly budgeted. While she'd felt guilty buying maternity clothes that fit properly. While Dominic had complained about the cost of renovating the nursery. He'd been spending hundreds of thousands on his mistress. I want him to lose everything, Naomi said quietly. Not just the marriage. Everything. Diane looked at her carefully. That's what we're building toward. But Naomi, you need to be prepared. This is going to get ugly. He's going to lash out. He's going to try to hurt you. He can't hurt me more than he already has. Actually, he can. And he will try. Diane pulled out another document. We're filing for divorce in 2 days. We're serving him at his office during an executive meeting. Maximum embarrassment, maximum impact. We're also filing for an emergency restraining order and asset freeze. He won't be able to access your joint accounts. He won't be able to sell any properties or move any more money. 2 days. Naomi's heart raced. That's before his Monaco trip. Exactly. He'll be planning his romantic getaway with Veronica. He'll be on top of the world. And we'll destroy that world in front of everyone he knows. Harold added, the shareholder meeting is scheduled for 1 week after the divorce filing. We'll give him just enough time to think he can fight this in divorce court, then we'll take the company. Naomi looked around at her team. These people who'd worked tirelessly for 3 weeks to protect her and her daughter. Who treated her like an equal partner in this war, not a victim to be pitied. Thank you, she said. All of you. For believing me. For helping me. We're not doing this just for you, Patricia said. We're doing this because men like Dominic think they can steal and cheat and face no consequences. We're doing this because Veronica thought she could help destroy another woman's marriage and profit from it. We're doing this because your daughter deserves to see justice. That night, Naomi went home to the penthouse she'd helped buy, to the husband who'd stopped seeing her as human. Dominic was in his office on another video call with Veronica. She could hear them laughing. She went to the nursery instead. The room was peaceful, painted in soft colors that Veronica hated. The crib was assembled, clothes were washed and folded, books lined the small shelf. Everything ready for a baby who would never know her father's betrayal because Naomi would make sure she never had to. The baby kicked, active in the evening as always. 2 more days, little one, Naomi whispered. 2 more days and then everything changes. She pulled out her phone and looked at the calendar. In 48 hours, Dominic would receive divorce papers. In 9 days, he'd lose his company. In a few months, her daughter would be born into a life where her mother was strong, independent, and proven that betrayal didn't break her, it revealed her power. Naomi smiled in the quiet nursery. Not a sad smile. Not a bitter smile. A satisfied smile. The kind of smile that comes when you know the game is almost over and you've already won. The boardroom at Apex Technologies was located on the 42nd floor, glass walls overlooking the city Dominic loved to say he owned. Naomi had been here exactly once before. At a company holiday party where she'd been introduced as Dominic's wife, and promptly forgotten in conversations about market shares and product launches. Now she sat at the head of the table, 7 of the 9 board members staring at her with expressions ranging from shock to respect. I realize this is unexpected, Naomi said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. She was 7 months pregnant now, her belly pronounced, but she'd worn one of her power suits from her financial analyst days, tailored to fit. Her natural hair was styled in a professional updo. She looked every inch the majority shareholder she was. Harold has provided you with documentation proving my identity as the controlling stakeholder in Apex Technologies. I'm here today to discuss matters that require immediate attention. James Rodriguez, the chief financial officer and one of Granddad's old friends, spoke first. Naomi, I knew your grandfather well. He spoke often about your business acumen. I'm glad you're finally taking your rightful place. Thank you, James. She nodded to Patricia, who distributed folders to each board member. What you're looking at is evidence of serious financial misconduct by our CEO, Dominic Grant. The room fell silent as they began reading. Naomi watched their faces change, shock, anger, disgust. This shows systematic embezzlement, said Dr. Amara Johnson, head of the technology division. He's been using company funds for personal expenses? For 18 months, Patricia confirmed. $200,000 in traceable expenses funneled through fake consulting agreements. The consultant in question is Veronica Hayes, his girlfriend and a subordinate employee. Thomas Wu, the oldest board member, removed his glasses and cleaned them slowly, a gesture Naomi recognized as him processing anger. This is a firing offense. Several firing offenses. It's also a breach of fiduciary duty, Harold added. As board members, you have an obligation to address this immediately. But there's more, Naomi said quietly. She nodded to Robert, who pulled up a presentation on the large screen. As you can see from these photographs and videos, the relationship between Dominic and Veronica has been ongoing for 18 months. They've taken company-funded trips together, used company resources to support their affair, and violated multiple ethics policies. The photos were damning but professional, nothing crude but clear evidence of an inappropriate relationship. Dominic and Veronica in restaurants, hotels, conferences. Always together, always intimate. This puts the company at serious legal risk, said Jennifer Park, the legal counsel. If Veronica were to claim sexual harassment, hostile work environment, quid pro quo. She won't, Naomi interrupted. Because she's been a willing participant. But that doesn't erase the ethics violations or the liability concerns. Harold pulled up another document. I'm recommending an emergency shareholder meeting for next Tuesday, 9 days from today. At that meeting, we'll vote on Dominic's removal as CEO based on the evidence of financial misconduct and ethics violations. He'll fight this, Thomas said. Dominic doesn't go down easy. He can't fight what he doesn't know is coming, Naomi replied. Tomorrow I'm filing for divorce. He'll be served at his office. He'll be focused on that, on trying to protect what he thinks are his assets, preparing for a custody battle. He won't be expecting the shareholder meeting. Tactical, James said with approval. Walter would be proud. The timing is important, Diane added. We're filing for an emergency asset freeze and restraining order tomorrow. We have evidence that Dominic has been moving marital assets offshore, hiding approximately $12 million from Naomi. The court will freeze all his accounts. He'll be scrambling to deal with that instead of thinking about company business. Dr. Johnson leaned forward. Walk me through the timeline. I want to make sure we're protected legally. Naomi felt a surge of confidence. These people were taking her seriously. They wanted to help. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., Dominic will be served with divorce papers in his office, during his weekly executive meeting, she explained. Maximum witnesses, maximum embarrassment. The papers will include the asset freeze and restraining order. He'll have to leave our home by 5 p.m. tomorrow. Tuesday, 9 days from now, is the shareholder meeting. We'll present the evidence of misconduct to all shareholders. As the majority owner, I'll call for a vote to remove him as CEO. With the board's support, that vote will pass. What happens to Veronica? Jennifer asked. She's fired the same day for ethics violations. We have documentation of her knowing participation in the embezzlement scheme. She signed off on the fake consulting contracts. Patricia pulled up more documents. She'll be lucky if we don't press charges. Thomas whistled low. You've built a comprehensive case. But Naomi, are you prepared for what comes next? Dominic will tell everyone you're unstable, that pregnancy hormones are making you irrational. He'll claim you're not fit to run a company. Let him try, Naomi said calmly. I have a degree in financial analysis from Columbia. I spent 5 years working for Morgan Stanley before Dominic convinced me to quit and support his career. I'm the granddaughter of one of the most successful venture capitalists in the country. My credentials speak for themselves. What's your plan for after? James asked. Say we remove Dominic. Who runs the company? Naomi pulled out another folder. Rita Johnson. Currently COO at Zenith Tech, formerly head of operations at Google. She's brilliant, ethical, and has been looking for a new opportunity. I've already had preliminary conversations with her. The board members exchanged looks. Rita Johnson was a legendary figure in tech, a black woman who'd risen to the top of multiple companies through sheer talent and integrity. She'd actually leave Zenith for us? Dr. Johnson asked, unable to hide her excitement. For the chance to build an ethical tech company focused on supporting working mothers and families? Yes. I've shown her our financials. She's interested. Naomi allowed herself a small smile. She's also furious about what Dominic's been doing. She had a friend who went through something similar. Rita wants to help build something better. And your role? Thomas pressed. Chairman of the board. I'll take an active role in company direction and values, but Rita will handle day-to-day operations. I'll be a new mother, I need flexibility, but I'll be present for all major decisions. The room was quiet for a moment. Then James started clapping. Slowly the others joined in. Walter trained you well, he said. This is exactly the kind of strategic thinking he was known for. We have 1 week to prepare, Harold said, bringing the meeting back to focus. Naomi, you'll need to maintain complete normalcy at home. Can you do that? She thought about the past 3 weeks. The performance, the lies, the smile she wore like armor. I can do that, she confirmed. They spent the next 2 hours going over details. The shareholder meeting logistics. The press release they'd prepare. The security measures to ensure Dominic didn't destroy company property or records when he realized what was happening. The employee communication plan. People will be scared, Jennifer warned. Dominic is popular with some of the younger employees. He's charismatic. Then we tell them the truth, Naomi said firmly. We show them the evidence of what he's done. We demonstrate that this company values ethics over personality. And we bring in Rita to show them the future is bright. As the meeting ended, Dr. Johnson approached Naomi. I just want to say, what you're doing takes incredible courage. I've seen women in your position stay silent, accept the betrayal, take the small settlement. You're fighting back. That matters. I'm fighting back for my daughter, Naomi said, her hand on her belly. I want her to grow up knowing that women don't have to accept being treated as less than. That we have power and we use it. That evening, Naomi went home to the penthouse for one of the last times. Dominic was packing for his Monaco trip, scheduled for the day after tomorrow, a trip that would never happen. Looking forward to the conference? She asked innocently. Very much, he lied smoothly. Big investors, important meetings. Should be good for the company. Should be good for the company. His lies didn't even make sense anymore. He was just saying words. I'll miss you, she lied back. I'll miss you too, sweetheart. But it's only 10 days. You'll be fine here with the baby prep. 10 days with Veronica. On a yacht Naomi's family money had paid for. Celebrating the success of a company Naomi owned. She watched him pack designer clothes, also bought with her money. She realized now. Everything he had, everything he was, had been built on her grandfather's investment and her silent support. Tomorrow she'd take it all back. Tonight, she'd let him enjoy his last few hours of ignorance. Dominic, she said softly. Can I ask you something? Sure, babe. Do you love me? He turned and for a moment she saw the man she'd married. Or maybe she saw who he'd always been and she'd just been too in love to notice. Of course I love you, he said, the lie automatic. You're my wife. The mother of my child. She nodded, satisfied. Because now she had that recorded too. The last lie. Tomorrow the truth would destroy him. The process server arrived at Apex Technologies at exactly 10 a.m. Naomi had watched from a cafe across the street, her hand wrapped around a cup of herbal tea she couldn't taste. Her heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. Diane sat beside her, calm and professional. Are you ready? Yes. They timed this perfectly. Dominic's executive meeting happened every Thursday at 9:30. By 10 he'd be mid-presentation, probably showing off quarterly earnings, basking in praise from his team. Veronica would be there too, she always attended the executive meetings. Naomi's phone buzzed. A text from Robert, server entering the building now. She imagined the scene. The conference room on the executive floor. Dominic at the head of the table talking about growth projections. The door opening. A stranger asking, "Are you Dominic Grant?" The envelope being handed over. The room falling silent as Dominic opened it. Her phone buzzed again. Robert, delivered. He's reading it now. Naomi let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. How do you feel? Diane asked. Powerful, Naomi answered honestly. They waited. 15 minutes later, Naomi's phone exploded with calls. Dominic, Dominic, Dominic. She let them all go to voicemail. Then a text. What the hell is this? Call me now. Another, this is insane. You can't do this. Another, I'm coming home. We need to talk. Diane took Naomi's phone and typed a response. My attorney has advised me not to contact you. All communication should go through her. Her number is on the divorce petition. Within seconds, Diane's phone rang. She answered on speaker. This is Diane Fletcher. What kind of stunt is this? Dominic's voice was tight with rage. Serving me at work? In front of my entire team? Where would you prefer to be served, Mr. Grant? At the home you share with your pregnant wife while you pack for your trip to Monaco with your girlfriend. Silence. Then, I don't know what Naomi has told you, but... Mr. Grant, I recommend you retain counsel immediately. The asset freeze goes into effect at noon today. You'll need to provide documentation of all accounts, properties, and investments. You have until 5 p.m. to remove your personal belongings from the marital residence. After that, the restraining order prevents you from entering without written permission. Restraining order? I've never touched Naomi. The restraining order is based on financial abuse and marital misconduct. We have extensive documentation. I suggest you review the petition carefully. You're welcome to contest it in court, but I should warn you, we have recordings. Another pause. Recordings of what? Everything. Conversations about your plans to divorce your wife while she was pregnant and vulnerable. Discussions about hiding marital assets. Details about your affair with Veronica Hayes. All obtained legally, all admissible in court. Naomi could almost hear Dominic's mind working, trying to figure out how she knew. When she'd found out. How she'd planned this. I want to talk to Naomi. She has no interest in speaking with you. All communication goes through me. This is ridiculous. She's my wife. She's your soon-to-be ex-wife. And Mr. Grant? You should know that we're also filing a complaint with the Apex Technologies Board of Directors regarding your misuse of company funds and ethics violations. I expect you'll be hearing from them shortly as well. You can't. That's company business. Embezzlement is everyone's business. Goodbye, Mr. Grant. Have your attorney contact me. Diane hung up. She looked at Naomi with a slight smile. That went well. He's panicking. Good. Panicked people make mistakes. They went back to Harold's office, where the team was monitoring developments. Patricia had eyes on all of Dominic's financial accounts, watching for any last-minute transfer attempts. Robert had people at the penthouse, ready to document what Dominic removed to ensure he didn't take anything that belonged to Naomi. At noon, as promised, the courts froze all joint accounts. Dominic's personal credit cards, the ones tied to their joint accounts, stopped working. Robert reported that he tried to book a hotel room and been declined. Where will he stay? Naomi asked. That's his problem, Diane said firmly. He has friends. He has family. He'll figure it out. At 2 p.m., Carter, Dominic's brother, called Naomi's phone. She let it go to voicemail. He left a message, Naomi, it's Carter. Look, I don't know what Dominic did, but this seems extreme. Can we talk? I'm sure we can work something out. He's a good man, he's just been under a lot of stress. They always make excuses, Diane said when Naomi played her the message. The stress excuse, the midlife crisis excuse, the you were too busy with the pregnancy excuse. Never his fault. Never his choice. At 4 p.m., Dominic showed up at the penthouse. Robert's team documented him loading boxes into his Mercedes, clothes, shoes, his laptop and electronics, some artwork. He moved mechanically, his face a mask of fury. At 4:30, he tried the bedroom where Naomi's things were kept. The security team stopped him. That's my wife's room, Dominic argued. Which means it's her property, the security guard responded. Your attorney has a list of approved items. The bedroom isn't on it. Dominic left at 4:45, his car loaded with the remnants of his life. As he pulled away, one of Robert's investigators followed him. He went to a hotel downtown, a nice one but nowhere near the luxury of the penthouse. He'll have to pay cash, Patricia reported. His credit cards are frozen. Does he have enough cash? Naomi asked. Patricia smiled. Some. Not enough for long. Not enough for the lifestyle he's accustomed to. That evening, alone in the penthouse for the first time in 5 years, Naomi walked through the rooms. Without Dominic's presence, the space felt different. Lighter. Hers. She went to the nursery and sat in the rocking chair she'd picked out. The baby was active tonight, responding to the stress and adrenaline of the day. I'm sorry you're feeling all this, Naomi whispered. But Mama had to do this. For both of us. Her phone buzzed. Veronica Hayes was calling. Naomi almost laughed. Did the woman really think? She answered on speaker. Yes. Naomi. Well, we need to talk. We really don't. Look, what happened between Dominic and me, it's complicated. You don't understand the pressure he's been under, building the company, dealing with. Stop. Naomi's voice was cold. You're calling me to make excuses? To ask me to, what? Understand? Forgive? Help Dominic. He's going to lose everything because of your petty revenge. You're being vindictive. I'm being vindictive? Naomi's laugh was sharp. You helped him steal from me. You helped him plan to abandon me while I was pregnant. You slept with my husband for 18 months, came to my baby shower, touched my belly while planning to replace me. And I'm vindictive? I didn't mean. Let me be very clear, Veronica. You and Dominic made choices. Now you face consequences. On Tuesday, there's a shareholder meeting. Dominic will be fired. You'll be fired. The evidence of your participation in embezzlement will be turned over to authorities. Whether they pursue charges is up to them. You can't do this. I'll sue. With what money? Your salary stops when you're terminated. The apartment Dominic got you? Company property. The car lease? Company property. Everything he gave you was stolen from me and from Apex Technologies. You don't get to keep stolen property. Dominic loves me. Dominic loves himself. And the moment he realizes you're a liability instead of an asset, he'll throw you away just like he planned to throw me away. The difference is I have the power to fight back. You're just another employee who violated company ethics. Naomi hung up before Veronica could respond. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear, from satisfaction. Let them scramble. Let them panic. Let them call their friends and family and lawyers. In 4 days it would all be over. The baby kicked hard as if applauding. That's right, little one, Naomi said softly. Never let anyone make you feel small. Never let anyone steal what's yours. And never, ever trust someone who treats you like you're disposable. She rocked in the chair, in the nursery painted in the soft colors Veronica hated, in the home that was fully hers now, planning the empire she was about to claim. Dominic thought he'd built something impressive. He had no idea what impressive actually looked like. But he was about to learn. The shareholder meeting was scheduled for 9 a.m. on Tuesday. Naomi arrived at 7:30, wearing a tailored maternity suit in deep blue, her power color. Her hair was styled in elegant braids, her makeup flawless. She looked every inch the chairman she was about to become. Harold met her in the lobby. Ready? More than ready. They rode the elevator to the 42nd floor. The boardroom had been set up for maximum impact. Seating for all shareholders, a screen for presentations, security at the doors. This wasn't just a business meeting. It was a reckoning. The board members arrived next, greeting Naomi with respect and solidarity. James Rodriguez squeezed her shoulder. Your grandfather would be so proud. By 8:45, the room was filling with shareholders. Some recognized Naomi from social events, their faces showing confusion. Why was Dominic's wife here? And why was she sitting at the head of the table? At 8:55, Dominic arrived with his attorney, a sharp-looking man named Graham Pierce. Dominic's face was haggard. He clearly hadn't slept well. He'd been living at the hotel for 4 days, dealing with frozen assets and a divorce attorney who wouldn't return his calls except through official channels. He saw Naomi and stopped cold. What are you doing here? Sit down, Mr. Grant, Harold said calmly. The meeting is about to begin. This is a shareholder meeting. Naomi isn't a shareholder. Actually, Harold smiled, she is. Please sit. Dominic's attorney whispered something to him. They took seats on the opposite side of the table from Naomi, Dominic's eyes never leaving her face. She could see him trying to puzzle it out, trying to understand. At 9 a.m. exactly, Harold called the meeting to order. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending this emergency shareholder meeting. For those who don't know me, I'm Harold Bennett, representing the Price Family Trust, which holds majority ownership in Apex Technologies. He gestured to Naomi. I'd like to introduce the trustee and beneficiary of that trust, Naomi Price Grant. The room erupted in confused whispers. Dominic's face went white. That's impossible, he said. The majority shareholder is an investment group. Anonymous. I've been dealing with them for 8 years. You've been dealing with the trust administrators, Harold corrected. Acting on behalf of the Price family. Naomi's grandfather, Walter Price, was the original investor in Apex Technologies. He provided the $25 million seed investment that allowed you to launch the company. In exchange, he negotiated 52% ownership through various trusts and holdings. Naomi watched Dominic's face as understanding dawned. Then denial. Then rage. You? He pointed at her. You own my company? I own 52% of Apex Technologies, Naomi said calmly. Which makes it my company, not yours. His attorney grabbed his arm, whispering urgently, but Dominic shook him off. This is fraud. She's lying. She's... Mr. Grant, Harold's voice cut through the room. I have documentation here proving every claim. Share certificates, trust documents, investment records dating back 8 years. All properly filed, all legally binding. Would you like to review them? Dominic snatched the folder Harold offered and began reading, his hands shaking. Naomi could see the moment he realized it was all real. His entire life, the company he thought he'd built from nothing, had been funded by her family. Had always belonged to her. Now, Harold continued, the purpose of this emergency meeting is to address serious concerns about Mr. Grant's conduct as CEO. Naomi? She stood, her hand resting on her pregnant belly, a deliberate reminder to everyone in the room. Over the past month, we've uncovered evidence of systematic financial misconduct by our CEO. I'm going to present that evidence now. Patricia pulled up the first slide. Bank records showing transfers to the fake consulting company. Dates, amounts, recipient information. Dominic Grant has embezzled approximately $200,000 from Apex Technologies over the past 18 months. These funds were funneled through fake consulting contracts to Veronica Hayes, an employee with whom Mr. Grant has been having an affair. The room erupted again. Dominic shot to his feet. You can't prove that. We have your signatures on the contracts, Patricia said calmly. We have Veronica's bank records showing deposits matching the contract amounts. We have her expense reports showing luxury purchases immediately following those deposits. The evidence is overwhelming. Next slide. Photos of Dominic and Veronica at restaurants, hotels, conferences. Furthermore, Mr. Grant has violated company ethics policies by maintaining a sexual relationship with a subordinate employee. He's used company resources to fund trips with this employee, misrepresenting them as business expenses. He's provided her with company property, an apartment, a car lease, through fraudulent means. Slide after slide. The evidence was damning. The other shareholders stared at Dominic with disgust and betrayal. This is a witch hunt. Dominic shouted. She's angry about the divorce. She's making up lies. The divorce you planned while your wife was pregnant? Naomi asked softly. The divorce you discussed with your mistress, laughing about how I was too stupid to understand business? The divorce you prepared for by hiding $12 million in offshore accounts. She nodded to Patricia, who pulled up the offshore account records. We have evidence that Mr. Grant has been systematically moving marital assets, which means community property that partially belongs to me as a shareholder's spouse, to hidden accounts. This constitutes fraud against both me personally and against the shareholders of this company. Dominic's attorney was frantically writing notes. Dominic himself looked like he might pass out. There's more, Naomi continued. Robert. The private investigator pulled up audio recordings. Naomi's voice. Do you love me? Dominic's voice. Of course I love you. You're my wife. The mother of my child. Then earlier recordings. Dominic talking to his brother about the divorce plan. Dominic talking to Veronica about getting rid of his boring wife. Dominic discussing asset hiding strategies. Each recording was time-stamped, documented, legally obtained. By the time the presentation ended, Dominic looked destroyed. The other shareholders looked furious. This is unacceptable, said one of the minority shareholders, a woman named Patricia Morrison. This is criminal behavior. The question before us today, Harold said, is whether Dominic Grant should remain as CEO of Apex Technologies. As majority shareholder, Naomi has the authority to call this vote. All in favor of removing Dominic Grant as CEO, effective immediately, please raise your hand. Naomi raised hers. Every board member raised theirs. Every minority shareholder except Dominic's two fraternity brothers raised theirs. Even they looked conflicted. The motion passes, Harold announced. Dominic Grant, you are hereby removed as CEO of Apex Technologies. You will surrender your company laptop, access badges and keys immediately. Security will escort you from the building. You can't do this. Dominic was on his feet. I built this company. Everything here is mine. You built this company with my family's money, Naomi said, standing to face him. Every success you had was funded by my grandfather's investment. Every achievement you claimed was built on a foundation that belonged to me. And while you were building your career, I supported you. I gave up my own career. I made our home. I carried your child. And the whole time, you were planning to throw me away like I was nothing. Naomi, you called me boring, stupid, pathetic. You said I didn't understand business. She smiled, cold and satisfied. I understand business perfectly. I understand that you signed contracts giving my family majority ownership. I understand that you violated ethics policies and embezzled funds. I understand that you're not the genius entrepreneur you pretend to be. You're just a man who got lucky that a brilliant investor believed in your ideas." Security moved forward. Dominic's attorney pulled him back. "This isn't over," Dominic said, his voice shaking with rage. "I'll fight this. I'll sue. Oh. You'll lose," Naomi interrupted. "Because unlike you, I have the truth on my side. And unlike you, I have the power to back it up." As security escorted Dominic from the room, Naomi sat down, her legs suddenly weak. It was done. After weeks of planning, after days of stress, it was finally done. Harold turned to the remaining shareholders. "I'd like to propose Rita Johnson as the new CEO of Apex Technologies. Her credentials and references are in your packets. Ms. Johnson is available via video conference to introduce herself and answer questions." Rita appeared on the screen, professional and warm. She talked about her vision for the company, her commitment to ethical practices, her excitement about the opportunity. The shareholders were impressed. The vote to hire her was unanimous. After the meeting adjourned, Naomi sat alone in the boardroom for a moment. Through the glass walls, she could see employees beginning to learn the news. Some looked shocked. Some looked relieved. James Rodriguez came back in. "How do you feel?" "Exhausted," Naomi admitted. "Relieved. And..." She paused, searching for the right word. "Powerful?" he suggested. She nodded. "Powerful. Good. You should feel powerful. What you did today, standing up to him, protecting your daughter's future, protecting this company, that took enormous courage. Thank you, James. For everything." He smiled. "Your grandfather always said you had steel in your spine. Looks like he was right." That evening, news of Dominic's firing spread. Veronica Hayes had also been terminated, escorted from the building with her belongings in a box. The company issued a statement about leadership changes and commitment to ethics. Naomi's phone exploded with messages. Friends asking if she was okay. Former colleagues saying they'd heard the news. Her mother calling to offer support. But the message she treasured most came from her sister Imani. "You're the strongest person I know. That baby is going to be so proud of her mama." Naomi sat in the nursery that night, rocking in the chair, feeling her daughter move inside her. "We did it," she whispered. "We took back what was ours. And now we're going to build something better. Something he could never imagine." Outside, the city lights twinkled. Somewhere, Dominic was probably drinking, raging, planning his next move. Let him plan. She'd already won. The story broke in the business news 2 days after the shareholder meeting. Tech CEO ousted in shareholder coup, read one headline. Secret majority owner removes cheating husband from company he thought he built, read another. Naomi's PR team, hired specifically for this moment, had crafted the narrative carefully. She wasn't a vindictive ex-wife. She was a savvy businesswoman protecting her family's investment from an unethical CEO. The fact that the unethical CEO happened to be her cheating husband was simply unfortunate timing. The media ate it up. Sources close to Grant say he had no idea his wife owned controlling shares in Apex Technologies, one article read. The shares were held in trust by her late grandfather, venture capitalist Walter Price, who provided the seed funding for the company 8 years ago. Price's investment contract included majority ownership rights that Grant apparently didn't fully understand when he signed them. Another article focused on the affair. Internal documents show Grant used company funds to support a relationship with subordinate employee Veronica Hayes, including paying for luxury apartment leases and travel expenses disguised as business costs. The court of public opinion was brutal. Social media tore Dominic apart. "Imagine cheating on your pregnant wife and then finding out she owns your entire company," one viral tweet read. "That's not karma, that's divine comedy." But the real fallout was happening in Dominic's life directly. His assets remained frozen while the divorce proceedings continued. Patricia's forensic accounting had uncovered every hidden account, every transferred dollar. The courts were not sympathetic to a man who tried to hide $12 million from his pregnant wife. His reputation in the business community was destroyed. Companies that had been courting him for board positions withdrew their offers. Speaking engagements were canceled. A business magazine that had been preparing a profile piece on him as Entrepreneur of the Year killed the story. His friends began distancing themselves. Carter still called occasionally, trying to mediate, but even he admitted Dominic had made some serious mistakes. And Veronica? She turned on him immediately. Sources close to Hayes say she was manipulated by Grant, one gossip column reported. Hayes claims she was promised promotions and career advancement in exchange for the relationship, and that she was unaware of the extent of Grant's deception regarding company finances. Robert showed Naomi the article. She's trying to paint herself as a victim. Will it work? Naomi asked. Doubtful. She signed the consulting contracts. She deposited the money. She went on the trips. She attended your baby shower while sleeping with your husband. Public sympathy is not on her side. Indeed, social media was even less kind to Veronica than to Dominic. Women especially eviscerated her. You don't get to play victim when you knowingly help destroy another woman's marriage, one popular influencer posted. Veronica's career was over. No major company would hire someone with her ethical violations on record. She'd moved out of the company-provided apartment and was living with her mother, according to Robert's sources. Do I feel sorry for her? Naomi asked Diane during one of their meetings. Do you? No. She made choices. She could have said no. She could have refused to participate. She chose to help him, to benefit from his theft, to smile at me while planning to take my place. Naomi shook her head. She faces the consequences of her choices. Just like he does. The divorce proceedings were moving quickly now. Dominic had tried to fight the asset division, but the evidence was overwhelming. The prenuptial agreement he'd relied on to protect his assets actually protected Naomi's separate property, including her shares and the dividends they generated. He's going to receive about $2 million, Diane explained. Generous, considering. But nothing compared to what he thought he had. And the offshore accounts? Frozen and being repatriated. He'll face penalties for hiding assets, but probably not jail time. The prosecution is more interested in the embezzlement charges. Those charges were still pending. The company had turned over all evidence to authorities. Whether they pursued criminal charges against Dominic and Veronica was still uncertain. The DA is considering it, Diane said. $200,000 isn't nothing. And the fraud was clear. But prosecution takes time and resources. They might offer a plea deal instead. What kind of deal? Restitution, probation, maybe some community service? He'd avoid jail but have a criminal record. Naomi considered that. A criminal record would make rebuilding his career even harder. Whatever they decide, I'm fine with it, she said. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing this for justice. Meanwhile, at Apex Technologies, things were transforming. Rita Johnson had taken over as CEO and was implementing changes rapidly. The company culture was shifting from the aggressive, competitive environment Dominic had fostered to something more collaborative and supportive. We're implementing the family-friendly policies you wanted, Rita told Naomi during their weekly meeting. 6 months paid parental leave for all employees. On-site childcare. Flexible work arrangements. The response has been incredible. What about the financial performance? Stock is up 12% since the announcement. Investors like the new direction. Employees like the new direction. We're getting applications from top talent who wouldn't have considered us before because of our old reputation. Naomi felt a surge of satisfaction. They were building something better. Something that valued people, not just profits. I want to start a mentorship program, Naomi said, for women in tech, and a fund to support women leaving financially abusive relationships. The Zara Foundation? Rita suggested, referencing Naomi's daughter's name. Exactly. As her pregnancy progressed into the final weeks, Naomi felt stronger than she had in years. Not physically, her body was exhausted from carrying the baby. But mentally, emotionally, spiritually. She'd faced the worst betrayal of her life and come out not just surviving but thriving. Her support system had been incredible. Her mother visited daily, helping prepare for the baby. Imani had moved in temporarily to help after the birth. Talia, her best friend, organized everything from the nursery to the meal prep. You're going to be an amazing mother, Talia said one evening as they folded baby clothes together. Zara is so lucky. I'm lucky, Naomi corrected. She's the reason I fought back. I couldn't let her grow up thinking women accept betrayal. I needed her to see strength. She'll see it. In everything you do. 1 month after the shareholder meeting, Dominic requested a meeting through their attorneys. Naomi agreed to a video call with Diane present. You look terrible. Thinner, older, defeated. I want to apologize, he started. I don't want your apology, Naomi interrupted. Is there a legal matter we need to discuss? I made mistakes. I see that now. But Naomi, we have a daughter coming. Can we find a way to co-parent civilly? We'll co-parent through a legal custody arrangement, she said calmly. You'll have supervised visitation until we establish a pattern of responsible behavior. You'll pay child support according to the court's calculation. Our lawyers will handle the details. That's it? That's all you have to say to me? What did you expect, Dominic? Did you think I'd forgive you? That we'd reconcile? You called me boring and stupid. You planned to abandon me while I was pregnant. You stole from me and from our daughter's future. You betrayed every vow you made. I loved you once. Maybe. But you loved yourself more. You loved money and power and the image of success more than you loved me or our marriage or basic human decency. His face hardened. You've destroyed my life. No, you destroyed your own life. I just stopped enabling it. She leaned forward slightly. And Dominic? I didn't just survive what you did to me. I won. I took everything you thought was yours and made it better, stronger, more successful. Without you. She ended the call before he could respond. Diane smiled. That felt good, didn't it? It really did. As the day of Zara's birth approached, Naomi felt peace. Not the peace of forgiveness, she didn't forgive Dominic or Veronica. But the peace of knowing she'd fought for herself and her daughter. The peace of knowing she'd used her power wisely and well. The nursery was ready. The company was thriving. The foundation was being established. Her daughter would be born into a world where her mother had proven that betrayal doesn't break you. It reveals what you're truly capable of. And what Naomi was capable of was extraordinary. The contraction started on a Tuesday morning, 3 days before Naomi's due date. She was in her home office, reviewing proposals for the Zara Foundation's first initiatives, when the first real pain hit. Okay, she said out loud to the empty room, her hand on her belly. Okay, baby girl. Let's do this. Imani drove her to the hospital, both of them remarkably calm despite the gravity of what was happening. Naomi had decided against having Dominic in the delivery room. This was her moment, her triumph, and she wanted it surrounded only by people who truly loved her. Her mother arrived within an hour. Talia came straight from work. Her support system was complete. 13 hours later, Zara Imani Price was born, weighing 7 pounds 2 ounces with a head full of dark curly hair and her mother's eyes. She's perfect, Naomi whispered, holding her daughter for the first time. You're absolutely perfect. Per the custody arrangement, Dominic was notified of the birth. He arrived at the hospital the next day looking nervous and out of place. Naomi allowed him 30 minutes with his daughter, supervised by Imani. She watched through the nursery window as he held Zara awkwardly, clearly uncomfortable with the tiny infant. He kept looking toward Naomi as if expecting her to come help him, to guide him through fatherhood like she'd guided him through everything else. But Naomi stood apart, watching. This wasn't her job anymore. He doesn't know what he's doing, Imani observed. He'll learn. Or he won't. Either way, it's not my problem. After Dominic left, Naomi brought Zara back to her private room and nursed her daughter while looking out at the city skyline. Somewhere out there was Apex Technologies, running smoothly under Rita's leadership. Somewhere out there was the foundation being built in Zara's name. Somewhere out there was a future full of possibility. Your great-grandfather would have loved you, Naomi told her daughter. He was the one who taught me to be strong, to know my worth, to never let anyone diminish me. I'm going to teach you the same things. Zara made a small sound, her tiny hand gripping Naomi's finger. I'm going to teach you that love shouldn't hurt. That partnership means equality, not sacrifice. That your career matters just as much as any man's. That financial independence is freedom. Naomi kissed her daughter's forehead. And I'm going to teach you that when someone betrays you, you don't just survive, you rise. Recovery was harder than Naomi expected. Her body ached, exhausted from childbirth. But her spirit was strong, stronger than ever. Harold visited in the hospital, bringing flowers and a gift basket. Your grandfather would be so proud of everything you've accomplished. I wish he could have met her, Naomi said, gesturing to Zara sleeping in her bassinet. He knew you'd be an amazing mother. He talked about it often in his final years. How excited he was for you to have a family. Harold smiled. Though I don't think he predicted you'd have to go to war to protect that family. Neither did I. 2 weeks after Zara's birth, Naomi attended her first board meeting as chairman. Rita had offered to push it back, but Naomi refused. She wanted to show everyone, including herself, that she could balance motherhood and business leadership. She arrived with Zara in a carrier, the baby sleeping peacefully against her chest. Gentlemen, ladies, she greeted the board. I hope you don't mind. Childcare fell through. We don't mind at all, Dr. Johnson said warmly. Welcome back, Naomi. And welcome to the team, Zara. The meeting focused on quarterly results. Under Rita's leadership, the company had exceeded projections. Employee satisfaction was up 40%. Customer retention was climbing. Stock price had increased 18%. These are remarkable numbers, Thomas Wu said, studying the reports. What's driving the improvement? Culture change, Rita explained. When employees feel valued and supported, they perform better. When customers see ethical business practices, they stay loyal. It's not complicated. Dominic's approach was all about aggressive growth at any cost. We're growing sustainably. And the family-friendly policies? Jennifer Park asked. Are they cost-prohibitive? Actually, they're cost-effective. Turnover is down 60%. Recruitment costs are down because people want to work here. Yes, we're spending more on childcare and parental leave, but we're saving far more on replacement and training costs. Naomi listened with satisfaction. This was the company she'd envisioned. Not Dominic's ruthless, ego-driven empire. Something better. After the meeting, Rita approached Naomi privately. I wanted to run something by you. I've been contacted by several women in tech who heard about what happened with Dominic. They're asking if we'd consider creating a support network for women dealing with similar situations. What kind of support? Legal resources, financial counseling, career coaching. Women who are trapped in relationships or situations where their partners control their finances or their careers. They need help escaping and rebuilding. Naomi's heart swelled. That's perfect for the Zara Foundation. Let's do it. Over the next months, Naomi settled into her new life. Being a single mother was exhausting, but she had help. Her mother visited daily. Imani stayed over twice a week. Talia organized a group of friends who took turns bringing meals and offering to babysit. And Naomi discovered she was good at balancing it all. Good at being a mother and a business leader. Good at making difficult decisions in the boardroom and then coming home to feed Zara and read her stories. Dominic saw Zara on weekends, supervised visits that he often showed up late to or cut short. He was trying to rebuild his career, working as a consultant for a mid-level tech firm, earning a fraction of what he'd made as CEO. He asked if you'd write him a reference, his attorney mentioned during one custody discussion. Diane laughed out loud. Absolutely not. The divorce finalized 6 months after Zara's birth. Dominic received his settlement, $2 million and some personal property. Naomi kept the penthouse, her shares, her dignity. How do you feel? Diane asked as they left the final court hearing. Free, Naomi answered simply. She sold the penthouse. Too many bad memories. Instead, she bought a beautiful brownstone in a family-friendly neighborhood. 5 bedrooms, a backyard, space for Zara to grow. Space for Naomi to build the life she wanted. She hired a nanny, a kind woman named Helena who had raised 4 children of her own and treated Zara like family. This freed Naomi to take a more active role at Apex Technologies and with the foundation. The Zara Foundation launched officially when Zara was 7 months old. Their first initiative was a legal defense fund for women escaping financial abuse. Their second was a career retraining program for women re-entering the workforce after staying home for partners who devalued their contributions. We're getting hundreds of applications, the foundation's director told Naomi. The need is enormous. Then we'll expand. I'm allocating more of my dividend income to the foundation. This matters. At Apex Technologies, Rita had built an executive team that was 50% women and 70% people of color. The company culture was thriving. They'd won awards for workplace excellence and ethical business practices. And the stock price kept climbing. You've doubled the company's value in less than a year, James Rodriguez told Naomi at a board dinner. Your grandfather would be amazed. I had help, she said, nodding toward Rita. True. But you had the vision. And the courage to execute it, even when it meant destroying your marriage and your husband's career. I didn't destroy his career, Naomi corrected. He destroyed it by being unethical. I just made sure he faced consequences. As Zara's first birthday approached, Naomi reflected on the year that had passed. 12 months ago, she'd been a terrified pregnant woman overhearing her husband's betrayal. Now she was a successful business leader, a loving mother, and a woman who'd proven that power doesn't corrupt, it reveals. And what it had revealed about Naomi was strength, intelligence, and an unshakable commitment to justice. She stood in Zara's nursery watching her daughter sleep and smiled. This was what victory looked like. Not revenge. Not bitterness. Not destruction. Victory looked like a thriving company, a growing foundation, and a baby girl who would grow up knowing that women don't have to accept betrayal. They can fight back. They can win. and they can build empires in the process. Zara's first birthday party was held in Naomi's new backyard, filled with friends, family, and the people who'd supported her through the hardest year of her life. The theme was strength and grace, a reflection of Naomi's journey. "Look at you," Talia said, handing Naomi a glass of sparkling cider. "A year ago you were hiding in a bathroom making phone calls to Harold. Now you're running a billion-dollar company and a growing foundation." "I'm co-running the company," Naomi corrected. "Rita does most of the heavy lifting." "Rita works for you. You're the boss." Naomi smiled. She was the boss. It still felt surreal sometimes. Zara toddled around the yard in her birthday dress, surrounded by cousins and friends' children. She was walking now, talking a little, developing a personality that was fierce and independent, just like her mother. Dominic had been invited to the party. He arrived late as usual, with an expensive gift that showed he still didn't understand his daughter at all. A designer dress for a toddler who loved to play in dirt. Typical. "Hey," he said awkwardly to Naomi. "Hey, there's cake and food over there. Zara's playing with the other kids." They stood in uncomfortable silence for a moment. Then Dominic said, "I've been seeing someone. I thought you should know." "Okay. Her name is Rachel. She's a teacher. She's nice." "I hope it works out for you," Naomi said, and she meant it. Not because she cared about Dominic's happiness, but because she was genuinely indifferent to his life now. He was just her daughter's father, nothing more. "You're seeing someone too, right?" "I heard." Naomi smiled. "I'm dating, yes." His name was Isaac, and he was nothing like Dominic. An architect, soft-spoken and thoughtful, who'd met Naomi at a charity fundraiser for the foundation. He'd approached her not because she was wealthy or powerful, but because he'd been moved by her speech about financial abuse and wanted to donate his firm's services to help build a women's shelter. They'd had coffee, then dinner, then several more dinners. He was patient with her wariness, understanding about her past, and completely smitten with Zara. "He's good with kids?" Dominic asked. "Very. He has 2 nieces he adores." That's good. Zara deserves good people in her life." Naomi looked at him carefully. He seemed genuine. Smaller somehow. The arrogance was gone, replaced with something that might have been humility. "How are you doing?" she asked. "Really? Honestly? I'm okay. Not great, but okay. The consulting work is fine. I'm making enough to live on. Dating Rachel has been good. She's normal, you know? No drama, no games. She doesn't care about money or status. She just likes me. That must be nice." "It is." He paused. "I messed up, Naomi. I messed up so badly. I threw away everything that mattered for things that didn't. I thought I was building something important, but I was just feeding my ego." "I know. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't forgive myself. But I want you to know I'm working on being better. For Zara, if nothing else. She deserves a decent father." Naomi nodded. "She does." "You've built something amazing," Dominic said, gesturing around. "The foundation, the company, all of it. You were always smarter than me. I was just too arrogant to see it. Thank you for saying that." He left shortly after, and Naomi felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no sadness. Just peace. Later that evening, after the party ended and Zara was asleep, Naomi sat in her home office reviewing applications for the foundation's newest program, a business accelerator for women leaving abusive relationships. They'd received 200 applications for 20 spots. Her phone rang. "Isaac, how was the party?" he asked. "Good. Zara had a wonderful time." Dominic showed up. "How was that?" "Fine, actually. He's different. Smaller. I think losing everything humbled him." "Good. He needed humbling." Isaac paused. "I have something I want to run by you. No pressure, just an idea." "Okay." "I've been working on designs for the women's shelter. I was thinking we could incorporate workspace, offices where women could start small businesses or work remotely. Give them economic independence along with safe housing." Naomi felt her heart swell. This man who owed her nothing was thinking about how to help women he'd never met. "That's brilliant," she said. "Let's do it." "You sure?" "It'll increase the budget significantly. The foundation can handle it. This is exactly what we should be doing." They talked for another hour about details, plans, dreams. When they finally hung up, Naomi felt a warmth she hadn't felt in years. Not the desperate, anxious love she'd had with Dominic. Something steadier, safer, real. The next morning, Naomi took Zara to the park. It was a routine they'd developed. Saturday mornings just the two of them, feeding ducks and playing on swings. Mama? Zara squealed, pointing at a butterfly. Yes, baby. Pretty butterfly. Naomi watched her daughter chase the butterfly with pure joy, and felt grateful for every decision that had led to this moment. Even the painful ones. Especially the painful ones. Her phone buzzed. Rita, board meeting Tuesday. Big announcement. You're going to want to be there. Can you give me a hint? Let's just say Apex Technologies is about to make history. Again. At Tuesday's board meeting, Rita revealed that Apex Technologies had been approached by 3 Fortune 500 companies about potential acquisitions. The offers were substantial, upward of $12 billion. I'm not recommending we accept, Rita said quickly. But I wanted the board to know that our transformation hasn't gone unnoticed. We're valuable now not just for our technology but for our culture. Companies want to learn from what we've built. What do you recommend instead? Thomas asked. I recommend we stay independent and continue growing. We have momentum. We have mission. We're doing something that matters beyond profit margins. Naomi listened as the board discussed options. Eventually, James turned to her. As majority shareholder, this is your call. What do you want to do? She thought about it. $12 billion would change her life and Zara's life forever. Financial security beyond imagination. The foundation fully funded for decades. But it would also mean giving up the company her grandfather had believed in. Giving up the culture she'd fought to create. Giving up the platform for change. We stay independent, Naomi said firmly. Money is important, but purpose is more important. We're building something that helps people, that changes lives, that proves business can be ethical and successful. I won't sell that for any price. The board voted unanimously to reject the acquisition offers. After the meeting, Rita hugged Naomi. Thank you. I know that wasn't an easy decision. Actually, it was the easiest decision I've made in years. That weekend, Isaac took Naomi and Zara to an art museum. Watching him carry Zara on his shoulders, explaining paintings to her in simple words she couldn't yet understand but seemed to enjoy anyway, Naomi felt something shift. Thank you, she said when they stopped for lunch. For what? For being patient with me. For understanding that I come with baggage. For loving Zara like she's yours. Isaac reached across the table and took her hand. Naomi, I'm not being patient. I'm being present. This isn't baggage to tolerate, it's your life. Your beautiful, complicated, amazing life. And I feel incredibly lucky to be part of it. That night, after Zara was asleep, Naomi stood in her home office and looked at the photo on her desk. Her and her grandfather, taken when she was 8 years old. He was teaching her to read a stock report. I did it, Granddad, she whispered. I protected what you built. I made it better. I made you proud. She imagined him smiling, that warm smile he'd always given her when she solved a difficult problem. You were always going to be fine, baby girl, she could almost hear him say. You just needed to remember your worth. She'd remembered. She'd reclaimed it. She'd built on it. And now, as she prepared for bed, checking on Zara one last time, meeting Isaac for brunch tomorrow, planning the foundation's next initiative, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Complete, total, unshakable peace. Not the peace of a woman who'd survived betrayal. The peace of a woman who'd conquered it. 1 year. 365 days since Naomi had overheard Dominic's betrayal. Since her life had shattered and she'd picked up the pieces and built something better from the rubble. Now, sitting in her corner office at Apex Technologies, Zara in a playpen beside her desk, Naomi reviewed the company's annual report with satisfaction. Under her chairmanship and Rita's leadership, Apex Technologies had grown its value to $10 billion. Employee retention was at an all-time high. They'd been named one of the best places to work for women. Fortune magazine had done a feature story on their transformation from toxic tech bro culture to family-friendly innovation hub. The article had included a sidebar about Naomi's journey, the betrayal, the hidden ownership, the coup. It had gone viral, inspiring countless women to examine their own relationships and financial situations. You've started a movement, Talia had told her. Women are calling their lawyers, checking their bank accounts, taking control of their lives. Because you showed them it's possible. The Zara Foundation had helped over 300 women in its first year. Women escaping financial abuse, rebuilding careers, starting businesses. The shelter Isaac had designed was under construction, scheduled to open in 6 months. And Dominic? Naomi heard about his life through occasional updates, though she no longer followed closely. He was still working at the consulting firm, making decent but unspectacular money. His relationship with Rachel had become serious. They'd gotten engaged, according to Imani, who'd heard through mutual friends. "Good for him," Naomi had said when she heard. "I hope he's learned something." The criminal charges for embezzlement had been resolved through a plea deal. Dominic and Veronica had both pleaded guilty to fraud, agreeing to restitution and 3 years probation. No jail time, but criminal records that would follow them forever. Veronica had moved to another city, working as a junior marketing manager at a small company. Her social media presence, once full of luxury and glamour, was now private and minimal. "They got what they deserved," Diane had said. "They got consequences," Naomi corrected. "What they deserved is something else. But consequences are enough for me." What mattered more to Naomi was what she'd built from their destruction. Rita knocked on her office door. "Got a minute?" "Always." Rita sat down, glancing at Zara, who was contentedly playing with blocks. "I have a proposition. The board wants to make you co-CEO. Officially. We'd share the title and responsibilities." Naomi was surprised. "I thought you liked being CEO." "I love it. But you've been doing half the work anyway, and you deserve the recognition. Plus, it would be historic, 2 women of color co-running a $10 billion tech company. That sends a message." "What message?" "That we don't have to choose between motherhood and leadership. That we can share power instead of hoarding it. That business can be collaborative instead of competitive." Rita smiled. "That the future looks nothing like the past." Naomi looked at her daughter, then at Rita, then out at the city skyline. "Let's do it," she said. "On one condition." "What's that?" "We announce it alongside the launch of our new initiative, a venture capital fund specifically for businesses led by women leaving abusive situations. I want every woman who's been told she's nothing, who's been controlled and diminished, to know that they can build empires too." Rita's eyes lit up. "I love it. How much are we allocating?" $50 million to start. From my personal dividends." "Naomi, I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. Money I didn't earn, that came from my grandfather's brilliance and my ex-husband's theft. I want to use it to help women who've been where I was. Women who need someone to believe in them." The announcement was made 2 weeks later at a press conference that drew national attention. Naomi stood at the podium, Zara on her hip, and told her story publicly for the first time. "A year ago, I was a pregnant woman who'd just discovered my husband's betrayal. I felt powerless, used, diminished. But then I remembered something my grandfather taught me: you're never powerless if you know your worth." She talked about discovering her hidden ownership, about building the case against Dominic, about choosing justice over revenge. "Revenge would have been easy," she said. "I could have destroyed him completely, ruined his life beyond repair. But revenge is empty. Justice, actual consequences for harmful actions, is what creates change." She announced the venture capital fund, the co-CEO arrangement with Rita, and the foundation's expansion plans. To every woman watching this who's been told she's not smart enough, not business savvy enough, not strong enough, you are all of those things. Your partners, your bosses, your society may try to convince you otherwise. But you are enough. You always were. The speech went viral. #YouAreEnough trended for days. Women from around the world reached out to Naomi with their own stories of betrayal and triumph. That weekend, Isaac took Naomi and Zara to the beach house he'd rented for the occasion. As they walked along the shore, Zara between them holding both their hands, Naomi felt a completeness she'd never known was possible. "I have something to ask you," Isaac said as the sun set over the ocean. He knelt in the sand, pulling out a simple, beautiful ring. "Naomi, I know you've been through hell. I know you have every reason to be skeptical of marriage and men and promises. But I want to spend my life proving that love can be kind. That partnership can be equal. That your dreams matter as much as mine, and that we can build something together without anyone sacrificing who they are." Naomi's eyes filled with tears. "I'm not asking you to be my wife in the traditional sense," Isaac continued. "I'm asking if you'll be my partner. My equal. My co-creator of a life that honors both of us. Will you marry me?" She looked at this man who'd shown her what healthy love looked like. Who celebrated her success instead of competing with it. Who loved her daughter without trying to replace her father. Who understood that her past pain didn't make her broken, it made her strong. "Yes," she said. "Yes, I'll marry you." Zara clapped, not understanding but sensing the joy. Later that night, after Zara was asleep, Naomi and Isaac sat on the deck watching stars appear in the darkening sky. "Do you ever think about Dominic?" Isaac asked gently. "Wonder if you made the right choice?" "I think about the situation sometimes. But not him specifically. He's just a person who made terrible choices. What I think about is how close I came to accepting being diminished. How I almost believed his version of me, boring, simple, unambitious. If I hadn't overheard that conversation, I might have stayed. I might have raised Zara in a house where her mother was treated as less than. That terrifies me more than any betrayal. You would have figured it out eventually. You're too smart not to. Maybe. But I'm grateful I figured it out when I did. While I still had the power to change everything. You changed more than everything, Isaac said. You changed yourself, your company, hundreds of women's lives through the foundation. You changed what's possible. The next morning, Naomi woke early and checked her email. There was a message from a woman named Stephanie. I just escaped a financially abusive marriage after watching your interview. I didn't realize what was happening to me was abuse until I heard you describe it. I've applied to your foundation's program. Thank you for being brave enough to tell your story. Naomi read similar messages every day. Women waking up, fighting back, winning. This was what justice looked like. Not Dominic suffering in poverty, he was fine. Not Veronica destroyed, she'd landed on her feet too. Justice was the lives saved, the minds changed, the women empowered. Justice was Zara growing up in a home where her mother was respected, powerful, and happy. Where she'd learned that love doesn't mean sacrifice, that business can be ethical, that women don't have to choose between family and success. Justice was Naomi looking in the mirror and seeing not a victim, not a survivor, but a victor. On Monday, she returned to Apex Technologies as co-CEO. The board had already approved her new title. Rita had a champagne toast ready, sparkling cider for Naomi, who was still nursing Zara occasionally. To Naomi, Rita said, raising her glass. Who proved that the best revenge isn't revenge at all, it's building an empire and using it to lift other women up. To justice, Naomi corrected, raising her own glass. And to every woman who refuses to stay small. That evening, sitting in her corner office with its view of the city she loved, Naomi reflected on her journey. From devastation to determination. From betrayal to breakthrough. From powerless to powerful. Her phone buzzed. A text from Dominic. Saw the news about co-CEO. Congratulations. You deserve it. She stared at the message for a moment, then deleted it without responding. She didn't need his validation. She didn't need his acknowledgement. She didn't need anything from him. She had everything that mattered. Her daughter, her company, her foundation, her future husband, her power, her peace. Zara toddled over, holding a toy. Mama, play? Yes, baby. Let's play. Naomi closed her laptop, scooped up her daughter, and spun her around until they were both laughing. This was victory. Not destroying Dominic. Not making him suffer. Not proving anything to anyone. Victory was this moment, this joy, this life she'd built from rubble. Victory was knowing she'd taken the worst thing that ever happened to her and transformed it into the catalyst for her greatest achievements. Victory was teaching Zara, through action not words, that women are unstoppable when they remember their worth.